What's going
I
on?
can't put on no lipstick, so.
Good evening, and welcome to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. To see what conversations we be having off behind the scenes. But we
It was a
are
hot mic.
excited to be back this Monday night. We have had other things going on, so we missed a couple of weeks, but we are back. We are back in effect, and excited to be here. And so before we get started with our topic, which is the work behind the piece, what it took to get here, I'm excited about that. We're going to do what we normally do. We're going to introduce ourselves and say what we are grateful for. So I am Theodora Carter. I am a certified life and career coach and an HR consultant. I am passionate about helping women live with clarity, courage, and intention, and helping small businesses focus on their business while I focus on the HR side of it. And so I am grateful tonight for just another day, but I can't believe it's October. So I'm grateful that God has brought us through to the 10th month of the year, and we all are healthy and hanging in there. And I'm excited that we're back together this evening. That's what I'm excited about.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Regina Booker. I am owner of Seasoned and Fabulous, where women 50 plus help to get them unstuck or go on about their career, their dreams, their hopes, their aberrations, whatever it is they need to do, because at that fork in the road where it's at that age you start to think about retirement, or you're empty nester, or going to be, or career change, but it's never too late to start the second half of your life, which is a better half of your life. So that's what we focus on. And I am grateful for just life, really. As Theo said, it's a 10th month. I'm grateful that I woke up this morning and just started on my way, and just grateful for another day.
Hello, y'all. I am Regina Howard Dorman. I am also known as Chef Regina because I cook a little food and I enjoy showing people how to do it with love and with confidence. Um, but what I really do is I cook a little food and I work with a lot of folks, children and our families. What I am grateful for today is just the topic that we're having. Uh, It's really a great topic we're going to discuss, and I'm grateful that we're doing this now because people are going through different challenges. So it's important to get some really good pointers on how to work um, on your piece and how to make that happen. So, yep, that's it for the day for me so far.
I love your pearls. I love your
Thank
pearls.
you. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us this evening. As I said, this evening we're talking about the work behind the piece. But before we even dive into that, last week we talked about investing in yourself, and we talked about no, it wasn't last week. Well, the last time we were here, me and
Yes.
Sheila, right? And it was a continuation, Gina, of the conversation we had when we talked
Okay.
about investing in yourself. So Sheila and I just continue that vein, because remember, there were so many components to what it means
Yes.
to invest in yourself.
Absolutely.
And so the one we talked about when Sheila and I were here was just, investing in your health and wellness, right? And it was so great to really actually hear Sheila talk about what she experienced, right, when she wasn't feeling well, and what that looked like, and advocating for yourself as it relates to doctors, etc. And so tonight, just for the viewers, I'm just setting you up for why we're here, is we just thought it's important to talk about what does it mean to invest in yourself, because most people feel like when you say that it's all financial,
Right.
right? Like, how are you investing in yourself as far as education or spending money? But we're talking about how are you investing in yourself holistically, right? Which is mentally, spiritually, physically, right? And so tonight we're going to talk about peace, right? And what that looks like. And it's so funny because as I thought about this topic, I thought to myself, we've really done the work, right? Because we're not at a stage where we're trying to create peace. We're at a stage where we actually have done that. Like, we actually
Yes.
we have crafted peace within our lives. And so the first question I'm gonna start off with is, so when you say you found peace, what does that actually mean for you? Like, what does that mean?
Well, I know my triggers,
Mm,
and I know what certain things or certain people will say and do to try to set me off, right?
mm,
And doing the self work, which is ongoing, by the way, y'all. Uh, Maintaining your peace is an ongoing process, but to get to where you can see adversity or things coming at you where you need to really lean in and
mm,
have that peace about you, you work towards those levels. So what helped me is getting help as far as having coach,
mm,
therapy. Sometimes I've realized that when I would get upset about a thing, maybe it wasn't that thing per se, but it was something that it reminded me of, something that I didn't address. Or sometimes, um, if you're a quiet person and you kind of take on a lot of of other people's stuff and you don't necessarily speak up about it, you hold it in, and then sometimes
mm,
it's like, I held it in enough, and when you let it out, it's just like all over the place, and you're stressed out. So one of the things I've learned in working on maintaining my peace is that certain things what people say just don't matter, and that um, you can allow the wrong people to say things that matter or you think they matter, right?
mm,
So we have to be mindful of the power of our words, the power of what other people try to impose on you, and reminding ourselves, and I have to remind myself that because you said that, I don't have to agree with you and your
mm,
thoughts about me or a particular situation. And so I tell you, it really, I really feel at peace now dealing with certain people that used to always like find a way to, get me worked up. And now I'm like, so now I reverse it. I said, so why are you so upset? Because
mm,
we're having a conversation, or I thought we were having a conversation where we could calmly have our disagreements or, debate about a thing. But you're getting really upset. Why is that?
mm,
And it used to be where I was the one getting upset. And now I'm like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. It's not worth the energy for me to get upset about a thing when I can work on something that I have control over. I can't control what you think. It's not my job to convince you of a thing. It's for me to stand in the truth of what I know and
mm,
respect the fact that you may have a difference of opinion. But that doesn't mean that I have to come outside of myself and get worked up and get upset.
mm,
And so I tell you, it's just been the greatest feeling. Is I feel like I've literally, well, lifted the weight that's been lifted off of me, realizing that I do not have to um, entertain that negativity or entertain someone's behavior because I don't have to. And it's like, wow,
yeah.
that's a
Hearing
big difference for me.
hearing you talk made me think of the master class we did with Trey,
Yeah,
the emotional intelligence, right? Because that's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
heard, right? Like, you
yeah.
it's that self-awareness, right? So
Mhm.
Regina, what say you? What was the hardest what do you mean when you say you found peace?
Pretty much the same thing that Gina said. I mean, as we all did, we worked on ourselves, and not caring. The biggest component of it is not caring what other people think, because I got wrapped up into what other people thought too much. And once I let that go, that was the biggest part of, I don't care what you think, um,
Mm-hmm.
unapologetically and not disrespectful.
Right.
But if I get all worked up about what you think about me or what I'm saying, and I stand in my truth, then I'm free,
Mm-hmm.
because that brings on freedom, and that brings on you being yourself and not caring and not getting wrapped up into someone else's energy. Because, like Gina said, you can't control someone else, and what they think is what they think. And as long as you not get into a confrontation, you say what you want to say, speak what you want to speak, and be done with it. And we could agree to disagree and walk away, and that's it. And we can continue to have a conversation,
Right.
and we don't have to agree. There's circles that I might not necessarily like you as a person, but if I have a project to do with you, I can work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, and to get to that space, it's a hard space to get to. But once you learn how to get to that space, you've done some work.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, because it's a level of maturity, right? And I
Uh-huh.
would say that, and I would say that, I had to learn that early because
Mm-hmm.
of the work that I do, right? So because I had to learn, like, I'm not gonna like all these people, right? Being that
Mm-hmm.
you are, you're dealing with so many different personalities and all of that. But I would say on a personal level, I think it was around that. It was a part of my healing journey, but I think I one day was like, you know what? I made like an intentional decision to say I'm gonna create a life of peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that meant setting boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
that and really like determining like what that looked like you said, recognizing that in some cases even everything doesn't need to be a conversation.
Right.
Right, like
Mm-hmm.
even beyond having the conversation and communicating, you know what, we don't do I need to even expend the energy to go back and forth with you about this?
Right.
Like, is it even that important that we need to talk about it? Right.
Right.
So I think that for me, but it also was me just saying, you know what, you have to control what you can control, and you have to just let what you can't be. And if that means I have to love some people from afar,
Yeah.
right? That means I have to engage with people differently, right? I have to, but I think the one thing people don't recognize is what you said is establishing a level of control, not disrespectfully,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to establish a level of control around your life in
Right.
order for you to really create the narrative that you're creating for your life. And I think for all of us, at some point, we said, you know what, it's gonna be peace.
Mm-hmm.
If not, like, peace is my priority. I tell you that
Mm-hmm.
all the time. It is not just a slogan. Like, I mean it. So, what was like the hardest truth that you had to face to get to peace? Like, what is it? Because although we're all saying we did the work, right, and we made the decision, but there were some truths, and there probably was some bumpiness get into that space, because establishing peace and boundaries, right, means you have to navigate the people that are used to you moving a certain way.
Oh,
I think the hard work that I had to do was to accept the choices and decisions I made
Mm,
with who I chose to be around. And whether it's in my career or relationships, because there are certain people that will, or experiences that will trigger you from stepping outside of that peace that you've worked to create for yourself. So, like I said a moment ago, peace is an ongoing thing. We continue to work towards maintaining a certain level of peace. But I think one of the hardest things I had to accept was some of the reasons why it took me through those, I guess, valley experiences was
mm,
because I wasn't aware of some of the choices that I was making that continued to run into those situations or those conversations where I was not um, comfortable, right? And I was feeling like that I was allowing other people to basically dictate how I was going to respond to situations. And when I realized I was giving them too much power and that I really had a say in how I responded to those situations, then I had to take responsibility for my responses, right?
mm,
Instead of saying, why did you act like this or why did you say that thing? The question I had to ask myself was, okay, is this a regular thing? If this is how they are, or if this is the work environment I need to be in for now, how do I deal with that? Because at the end of it all, I still had to control my responses.
mm,
And I had to realize instead of getting mad at the person or the situation, I had to say, well, Regina, what are you going to do?
mm,
How, because this seems to be something that happens consistently. So, how are you going to respond to de escalate yourself from getting to that place where now you're not in peace?
yeah,
And it's not like we're saying, you're going to stop in the middle of a situation and do a pose, right? Or you're going to stop in a situation and meditate. You can't be in a discussion, right? And be like, oh no, stop, hold on, you bother me.
yeah,
Father God in the name. No, so you can't do that, right? Necessarily. But
yeah,
what you can do is be like, okay, clearly there's more happening than this person having an issue with me or whatever
yeah,
it is. I don't have to take that on. So now I'm having an internal discussion with myself is, am I going to let this get me upset? Am I going to let that bother me? Or am I going to let this assignment or project overwhelm me? How am I going to deal with this? So when I started taking ownership and realizing that I needed to do that versus always being upset with the person or the
mm-hmm,
experience that was causing my peace to be disrupted, it was like it was a freedom. But I didn't realize I was not in freedom because I was always saying it was that person or that situation. When I realized I was Regina, but you're the one responding. You're the
mm-hmm,
one getting upset. So how can you do this better?
mm-hmm.
Because where was my emotional intelligence at that moment?
But that's so true because, like, one of the things that you said, which is so true, is right. We don't realize how much peace also comes with taking back your power,
Yes.
right? Because one of the things you said, which is so true, is when people get into disagreements or people get upset about stuff, right? You can't, people can't engage in any type of confrontation or discussions without you. So if you remove yourself from that situation, right, you are in control of establishing your peace, especially if you know yourself well enough to know this is going to take me to a certain space, right? So rather than me engage in it, I'm going just I'm just going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to engage because at the end of the day, who they going to engage with, right?
Right.
So and you get to decide who you're going to allow
Right.
in your space.
And it's a delicate balance because sometimes if you have a fighter mentality, you feel like, what, um, I need to deal with this. I need to let you know that you're not going to address me in a certain way. And so I had to realize that yes, my self respect is important, but are they that important in my life that I have to, uh, teach them how to treat me?
Mhm.
So we're going to hold mutual respect for each other, but I don't need to really deal with you outside of that.
Mhm.
So the time that I invest, if I care about you or care, or if it's a project we got to work on, then I'm gonna segment that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
compartmentalize that. This is a project we have to work on. This is something that we need to address. I'm not gonna get upset with you. We have to work together on this. But outside of that, I don't need to really school you on how to deal with me outside of let's respect each other because we're doing this thing together. And those things shift and change when you're dealing with the different type of relationships, the different type of groups we're in, right? Who do you want to invest your time with, saying, hey, I care enough about you to say that right now there's something that's happening that's disturbing me. First, I do a self check. Is it me overreacting? Am I being extra sensitive? um, or is it really something that this person is saying that really isn't okay and I need to address it? And so once I'm clear on where that is, and a lot of times I have to pray on that because
Mhm.
I don't. The reaction isn't good. I always tell my children, they're grown now, the 3 second rule. Take 3 seconds before you make a response
Mhm.
because it changes. It could change everything. Even a small plan is better than no plan, right?
Yeah.
So I've learned to do things like that to maintain my peace. But I had to realize that I had ownership in how I responded. And like we said, we're getting older. Like, do I really need to be tripping on stuff? Or as the young people say, getting out of pocket because you want to act a fool?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it though. Like when you were talking, I was thinking it's got you got to kind of know yourself, right? You got to know if I'm engaging in this because I'm that person that needs to get in the last word, right? Or am I engaging in this because I'm that person that needs to always prove that I'm right,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So I do think that, it all comes back to, right? Literally being self-aware, right?
Yes.
And knowing, what sets you off, what doesn't. And I'm big on, like you said, there's the different pockets, right? So there's work. I would tell anybody in a minute. I don't take there's little minute stuff that I would probably take personal. I don't take anything personal. Work is work. I
Right.
don't need to. I don't have to see you outside of these four walls unless I choose to,
Right.
and I don't have to like good morning. And especially now, for those of us who work remote, I just gotta sometimes see you in a little square, right? Outside of that, right? It's not like I even gotta go in the office. But even when I was in the office, it always was, listen, I come to work to work.
Right.
I don't come to work to make friends. And I used to always tell employees that during orientation, I'm like, listen, I just need you to show up on time, do the job we pay you to do, be courteous and professional to your coworkers. I don't expect y'all to be friends. I don't want y'all to be friends because it's going to create an issue down the line when you're not friends anymore, right? But I think it's so important for people to understand that you really do get to control, right? I call it the rules of engagement,
Yeah.
right? So I,
Hmm.
I am really good at establishing rules of engagement. What about you, Regina?
Um, I think it just comes like when you grow with growth with anything, people just fall off. So as you grow, those people fall off, and you don't
It's
you
like
don't deal with them anymore.
it's like by default. Like one day you're like, oh, this person doesn't talk to me anymore.
Yeah, in a way, because that's wow, that was really weird. um, that's what happened when people start falling off. At first, I was like, "What is this about?" Like, but then it was so much peace, and it was not necessarily that they were anything wrong, but our lives were going in a different direction.
Direction.
Mhm.
And at first, I didn't understand it. And then when I came to understand it, it brought about peace because I wasn't in a place and it was really nothing really wrong with them, but we outgrew each other,
Mhm.
whether
Mm,
it was right or wrong, but we weren't in the same spaces
yeah.
anymore. And so that, I think the question was, what was the hardest part, right? That was
Yeah.
the original question.
Right.
Right.
So that was hard for me to deal with when I started losing friends that I really, really, for years and
Yeah.
years and years. And when I started losing them, and then once I started, and actually that happened within the last probably year.
Mm,
And that was hard for me because these people have been around me for a long time. And when I started losing it, and I didn't know what was, and it wasn't just one, it was like three or four, kind of like
Mm.
back to back. I was like, what? Like, what's happening? Because I'm an easy person to get along with. And I didn't know what was happening. But as I was able to see it, we were just all going in a different direction. And there was growth.
yeah.
And actually, it was through, as far as God, where God was carrying me, they couldn't go with me.
Yeah. I mean,
And
and
he,
that's a natural shift.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I didn't understand, and that was a hard shift for me because for a
Yeah.
while I didn't say it to anyone. I was internally like grieving that and grieving that friendship, and I was like, what did I do wrong, and what was, and others. I really didn't have no peace with that, but I didn't say anything about it. But through prayer and sermons and different podcasts and different things of doing the work, and then one, I forgot what it was. It really was I don't know if it was a sermon or a podcast, but it was one day. Um, it was either a sermon or a podcast I was listening to, and I understood why one of the relationships broke off, and it was so clear.
Mhm.
And I really, and then the other ones, started coming to, but the one, it was it's like, wow,
Yeah.
we're going in two different directions. And as I knew where I was going and where the other person was going, we couldn't at this point. We had, and we still, every now and then we'll talk, but we were just going in two different directions, and
Mhm.
she couldn't go where I was going.
Yeah. I mean, and it makes sense, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I think what happens is one, everybody is not meant to go where
Mm-hmm.
we're going, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also I think, especially like all of us, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
all doing multiple things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And managing it. And for me, I think I found, right, I get in the zone and also because I am naturally an introvert, although people don't believe that. I I am naturally an introvert, but I have the ability to be extroverted because of the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easy for me to just be in my own zone and space. But also, I think when I moved into that area of entrepreneurship, right, and still working a full time job, and Gina, you can relate to this, right? It's like you begin to need to carve out, right?
Yes.
You're intentional about how you're carving out your time, and I still make time to spend with people, but also when I'm doing that, I want it to be meaningful,
Yes.
right? And it's not just because I'm an entrepreneur, it's also because listen, I'm about to be 60. So the stuff we used to do is different. I'm not trying to be
Mm-hmm.
out in the club, or I'm not trying to be like, I'm like, "Yo, where's the day party?" Right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's go like this past weekend, my the women's ministry at my church, we went and played pickleball, right? And I was like, oh, now I've been wanting to do it. I'm like, oh my god. So
I
there's
have no desire. Oh
this
shoot.
there's this place on like North End.
Oh
It's
yeah, I actually been there and seen it.
you know what it's called? Yeah.
No,
So
I've seen them play pickleball. I've been to North End and I've seen them play,
yeah.
and I'm
Like
sitting there
I've
like, I
been,
don't know
first of
why
all, I've
people
never
do
been
this.
there. I've been in here how many years? and have not been down to North End, right? So I was like, oh, I'm gonna come back because
Yeah,
I
it's
have been
pretty
wanting
nice. It's
to
nice
play.
down
I've
there.
been wanting to play, and I was like, okay, this is cool, right? But I think as we grow and we move differently, we get different interests, right? You want to
Hmm.
do
Yeah,
different things. Um, and so I think the hardest part is like what you said, Regina, is recognizing that I didn't do anything
right.
for these people to fall off,
Hmm.
right? These people just decided that what I was doing, they weren't interested in,
Hmm.
right? And they did something else. But the one thing I know that I had to graduate from, and I'm sure we all have, is making the story up in my head, because I
Hmm.
think that also disturbs your peace. Because when you're going through
Hmm.
that and people do start falling off, you
Hmm.
do exactly what you said. You are
Right.
making in your head why
Yes.
these
Right.
people might have
Yep.
decided not to continue to engage with you. And it's simply that they, like you said,
Hmm.
they're just doing other things, or they're managing other things. But I'm definitely going back like to North End. Like I want to go play pickleball again.
Well, I'll sit there and watch you as you
There's
play.
some there's like a
They have other things there.
yeah, they do.
This
But and
whole
they also
pickleball
have like an
thing is
egg
just.
roll company. You ever been to the egg roll company over there?
I saw it.
Yes, I was like, I want it because I
Yeah,
still need to meet up with you to get my book.
I know. I was thinking. I said, "Dang!" Every weekend. Well, actually, this weekend I was in. I was just not feeling well,
Yeah, but if you're joining us now, this is the
and I
Woman to
took care of
Woman Show
myself. Oh.
on the on the New You Nation Network, and we are talking about just how we found peace, what it took
Yes.
us to get here to this point of finding peace. I think Virginia is having a little bit of technical
Yeah.
difficulties,
A little bit
so
of that tonight.
which earlier I was having some internet problems, so I'm sure it might just be something happening down here because we're getting a lot of rain. But she'll be back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but she'll be back.
Well,
And so if
she
you
said something though. Uh,
yeah,
that in regards to losing your friends,
yeah,
and when I became, well, when I was, once my children started growing, I'm mom, they're all grown now, but at the height of their junior high to high school years, I got really involved in what that meant to be being a full-time parent.
yeah,
Everybody's version of that is different, but I was dealing with that, married, kids, all of
yeah,
that, still trying to uh, do the family stuff with extended family and everything. So it was like I didn't I didn't make room. I felt like I didn't make room for the people that I used to be around for, like, before I had children and
yeah,
stuff. And then I was like, well, wait a minute now. They have my number too,
yeah,
right? So then, because I created a story, and you said that a moment ago, and I was just sitting here thinking, I did that. I created a whole scenario that, oh, I didn't stay in touch and everything, and I'm like, but hold the pina colada without the alcohol. Uh,
yeah. Not the pina colada without the alcohol. The
hold the, because that's my favorite. So hold on now.
the, the,
Um,
the, the virgin
y'all,
pina colada.
hold on. Yes, the Virgin Pina Colada. Thank you very much. But y'all didn't call me neither. Like, hello, my number didn't change. Like,
But you know
you
what? That
know.
is so true.
And
I
I
was
used to make myself feel bad. I'm like, oh my god, some people. And I'm like,
oh my God.
wait, uh, y'all didn't call me either to be like, hey sis, you good? Like, so how am I supposed to? Why was I the one holding the bag for those relationships when it went both ways?
But can you but you know what's so true is so many people I think experience that where you drive yourself crazy thinking, oh my God, this person is mad at me because I haven't
Right.
reached out. And then I was like, wait a minute, but they got my number. And for me, I'm gonna tell you something. For me, I have had the same number for over, I want to say 30 years. Like I have had every look, even if I change cell phone carriers or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
um, I will tell you that I have had the same number. So I will say to people, if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me. So,
Right.
and that, but I will say that is something that really was a peace stealer, and I think that's something that a lot of people deal with.
Yeah.
Is you are allowing, the fact that you're not connecting with someone, or you haven't spoke to someone, and you haven't reached out to someone to create stress and disturb your peace, when in all reality we're saying to you tonight, remember, they got your phone number too now, unless you change
Exactly.
it, unless you like my brother who changed his phone number, like he changed it. But other than that, like that's so eye-opening. Like I hope somebody hears that tonight, is you also have to take responsibility and inventory of, right, what are the things that are disturbing your peace,
Yeah.
and if and if the thing that is disturbing your peace is really valid. So it's kind of like you got to take inventory of, I'm feeling this way about this, but should I really be feeling this way about this,
Right.
right? So so
And
that was good.
I'm sorry. I just want to also just to piggyback on what you're saying is we have the ability to hold a lot.
Mhm.
I don't think we use nearly enough of our brain capacity to think, to grow, to do different things. But if we are going to use our brain capacity for anything, it shouldn't be to hold on to stuff that you don't need to hold on to,
Yeah.
or to make yourself the bad guy or bad girl in a story where there's really no victim. There's really no what you call a good, no enemy. You're not the villain. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Let's not make ourselves the
Don't make
villain
yourself
in
the
our
villain.
stories, right? And
Yeah.
so sometimes, like Regina said, and I just love the fact that you spoke on that, that sometimes things naturally go their way because people are choosing different paths and they're busy with their stuff. And sometimes it's like that. And then there may be times where you can say, you know what? I really did value that friendship, but I was so caught up in what I was doing, I didn't have time. And you
Yeah.
can acknowledge that and be at peace with understanding that's what it is. And if you really care enough, you could try to reestablish that or not. But then let's not keep running it back, right? Let's not keep, oh, I wish I did, or oh, because none of that solves anything.
Mhm.
Nope. At all.
It doesn't. So give yourself the grace to, when you accept and own your stuff, or you own the situation, and it doesn't have to be your stuff, but you can own the
Yeah.
situation. It gives you the freedom to move in a better place, and
Yeah.
you release that person as well, because now you're not holding them in a situation where oh, because of them so and so. No, let it go.
Mhm.
Release
But
that.
but it,
Release yourself,
yeah.
and
I mean,
that's how you
I
also
think
claim
that
your
is
peace.
so important. I think that is so important, because I think, what you said is, don't make yourself the villain in your story,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so many of us do that, but also, how many of us realize that there are seasons for everything,
Yes.
right? And
Mhm.
so some people come into your life for a reason. It's a lesson that you need to learn, and then they're no longer there.
Hmm.
And some people come into your life for a season, right? It's just like, this is a momentary thing. They came to fulfill something that God needed them to fulfill, or you needed them to fulfill, or it was just for a temporary time. And then there are your lifetime people,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you got to know your lifetime people. Like I know my lifetime people. Like I
Yeah.
know my friends who we can go months without talking to each other, and it's because we recognize that we all got something going on.
Mhm.
but and when we call each other, there's no
Yes.
animosity. There's no you
Yeah.
didn't call me
Mm-hmm.
this. And in this age, we text.
Mm-hmm.
It might be like, hey Theo, I'm just catching up with you. I know it's been a minute. Like, and I will honestly tell you the way me and some of my friends now do it is like we literally will text and say, when are you available to talk?
Mm,
Right? Because they all know I'm doing something. I know they're doing something. One, she just got remarried, right? So it's all of this stuff going on. But the great thing is, your lifetime people, because your
yes.
lifetime people, you could pick up the phone or you can run into them. And it's like you saw them yesterday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you a perfect example of that. Like I was the queen of I'm not being on social media. And then I started going on Facebook and I was connecting with people. And one of my friends that I went to junior high school with, like we used to dress alike. Like, what are you wearing tomorrow? Wear your burgundy leaves with your white, remember the little Izod shirts, right? The
Hmm.
sneakers to match, all of that. And the last time I saw her was at her wedding, right? We connect on Facebook. We make plans to meet up for dinner. We sit down. It was like we were just talking to each other yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And those are your lifetime friends, right? And usually those are the people who are not going to create stress,
Right.
right? Because those are the people that understand you and you understand them and they get you,
Yeah.
right? And so sometimes I'm telling that story to say sometimes there are some people that you're not going to be upset that they have decided to walk away. Yeah,
Absolutely. Right.
it's actually a blessing in this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but if you're joining us, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. If you have not already done so, like, share, subscribe. If you watch this during a replay, like, subscribe, and share. And we're talking about the work behind the piece, what it took us to get here to where we are in a space of, I would say for the most part, 95% of the time I'm at peace. And the other 5% is because I'm creating the disturbance. Right.
Well, I'm going to say your percentage is higher than mine, but I aspire to get there. But I'm definitely at a better place, way better than I could say I was even 5 years ago. Because it's just like I surrendered my faith, trusted in God,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that I had to shift my priorities. Sometimes it's like who you gonna let be the center of your life? Are you gonna let your situations and your problems be the center of your life, or you gonna let God
Mm-mm.
be the center of your life? So I you know I've been a believer more more most of my adult life.
I
Like,
was gonna say you've been a believer probably longer than you have not been one.
yes, right, that part. But it's like as I've gotten older, life experience and wisdom, and just really um becoming more committed to honoring God. I see where the value is in studying His Word and just thinking on things that will help you grow and mature and be in a better place. So I I'm working towards getting. I'm better than I was, and I'm continuing to grow. But I do know I still have work to do because I have to continually surrender what I'm thinking or how I may want to respond. But I'm also feeling the peace of letting go of not feeling like I have to,
Yeah.
and so you know I'm thinking like I'm more like 80, 85 because there are certain times I'll hear myself. I'm like, girl, you needed to, you, you know, right? And I have a pookie moment, and then I'm like, uh, I I'm gonna go to the kitchen and chill right now. I'm gonna need my space. Give me 5 minutes.
But
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 it's
we all are works in progress.
right, and see,
Yeah.
that's what I want to say. Like a lot of times, I'm at peace, and I'm looking around me like, why y'all tripping? but it may be something that is impactful. It could be what's happening, what's happening outside of me, right? Outside of my control.
Yeah.
And so, there's discussion around things that are happening
You know,
now. And
Sheila said, Pookie.
Mm-hmm.
right, so yeah, so Pookie gotta chill sometime. But but I'm realizing that, and I'm like, okay, so you said something a moment ago, Theo, when you said speaking because you want to have your say, or you want to
Oh, you
have
want to have the
have
last
the
word?
last word. And I'm like, well, there's no real win on that. Me having the last word, I still leave the situation ticked off and undone, and now I'm taking a 30 minutes or an hour to calm down, and I have gotten nothing productive done because I'm ticked off. So now I've got to call somebody, tell them how ticked off I am. So now I'm wasting their time
Mm-hmm.
on being ticked off and saying how I settled it. I handled that, but this is what I. It's like, girl, don't we got stuff to do? Don't we have projects we working on?
Yeah.
Why are you uptight about that? It's a different thing than decompress. Sometimes you want to decompress.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
But if it's because you had a heated debate that you really could have avoided because you wanted to have your say,
Yeah.
then that's not peace. And I'm not, and it doesn't mean have. And guess what, y'all? And I just need to say this: us having our
I'm
peace,
leaning.
yeah, please. Us having our say doesn't mean that we walk around like we on some fluffy cloud every day, and we just, how's it going? It doesn't mean somebody do this, it don't bother you. Like, bro, am I
Yeah.
prick? Don't I bleed? Like, So what we're saying is how we deal with the situations. We deal with it
Mm-hmm.
better than we used to. We're not gonna, somebody bump me. I may not G off on it, but I'm gonna say, excuse you in a very nice way. Like,
And
hey,
you and I will say, let
right?
me tell you something. That is an area where I have grown because I will literally just, well, you know what? I can't let me think about this. I am somewhat reformed. That's what
Okay.
I say. Somewhat reformed. Because I don't do what you said. I don't say excuse you. Because that used to be the thing.
Right.
Somebody bump you or do whatever, you just be like, excuse you, right?
Right.
But the thing that I do that I probably have to work on because my friends say it, like I could just look at you and you could like
Yeah.
I could
Catch
just
the
like,
vibe.
yeah. So I'm Pete, that might not be full peace
It's process. It's process. We're in
because
process.
because you also recognize that your body language
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
can also like how that energy,
Yes.
right? You
Yeah.
you feel it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about real time, right? You just had internet problems. How did
Yeah.
that disturb your peace? Because it's things like that.
I was like, what in the
Sometimes
world?
sometimes it's those little things, right?
I
Like
didn't know,
like you
I
put
didn't know
that
what was,
smiling
me
face
not being Miss Techie. I said, here I go, not being Miss Techie. And I'm bamming on the, like, yeah, what's going on? Pushing in the cord. Then I realized, I'm like, I know the cord's in. And I finally look over there. Oh, the cord's out.
but it's those things that we think are so little that we also have to be mindful of because in a split second, like even earlier today, like I didn't have, but like my cell phone, for some reason, although I had the connection, although I think it's the iPhone, I think they be doing stuff to try to get you to
To
buy a new phone.
upgrade.
They asked me to
Hmm.
upgrade, and I was like, no, right? So now my internet's working every place else, but on my phone, the bars are a little less, right? So I'm like, okay,
Mm.
whatever. But it's those little things that I have to be mindful of because it's those little things like that will send me in like a whole mood,
Hmm.
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah, and then I'm actually dealing with something like My mom is 90, she'll be 92 in November 18th.
Mhm.
So I'm the only girl. And
Mm.
of
Mhm.
course, I'm in North Carolina. Nothing in the world, like probably 10 years ago,
Mhm.
really 20 years ago. I started 20 years ago. I really tried to force it 10 years ago for my mom to move with me because it's three boys, and one lives in Colorado, and the other two with my mom, which are kind of hopeless. But anyway, needless to say, it's coming to a point that, I'm really her, I do all her documents and things from
Mhm.
North Carolina anytime that something needs to be done. And it's getting to a point where I'm trying to understand what she's telling me. And so I'm trying to make sense out of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to call somebody and say, so that within itself is stressful. So I'm I'm just like, when I'm talking to her, I'm just like, okay. And I take these little bits of pieces of information
Mhm.
Right.
and try to hold my peace.
But that is so true, right? It's because
And then so in being a caretaker, in a way I'm a caretaker. Well, I am, but in this it's from afar,
yeah,
and then I feel the guilt of, oh my God, but I just can't uproot my life because there's nowhere for me to go.
yeah,
Mm.
And if I I could probably demand it or push her here, but I probably will kill her. Because I don't mean, but you know
we,
what? When
we
you
know
up,
we know you don't mean
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
we know
when
what
you
you don't
uproot
mean
them and
unalive her.
they're away from their friends and everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
But my one brother, he goes over on the weekend. The other brother who doesn't really, he kind of like is pointless.
yeah.
So,
But that's real talk because
yeah,
there's somebody else out here, right?
yeah,
That is a caretaker
yeah.
that is navigating, and in this current climate,
Mm-hmm. So
I'm sure the paperwork and all of that stuff
yeah.
is even more difficult to deal with because
Mm-hmm.
of all the
Even
cuts that
yeah,
are happening.
even today I was calling because she has a lifeline because she's wearing this necklace to say she's a fall victim, or
Yeah.
Mm.
and due to y'all's president, y'all's
Mhm.
president. I know we ain't supposed to.
Well,
Some of the senior things my mom worked all her life, but one of the programs that they took away was they all got that little necklace, I think, for
yeah.
free.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, about maybe 5 or 6 months ago, out just they told them all to pack them up and give it back.
Mm.
That was one of the programs they cut.
So now she has to get
She has
another.
to pay for it. She has to
She
pay
has to
for
pay
it. So
for it.
which I got it through Lifeline. So I'm paying for it. So my mom kept telling me, no, my insurance is gonna do, and I'm trying to make sense out of it. And then of course I'm talking to whatever it is, Lifeline or whoever it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, with all these companies laying people off, so they're getting like all these contractors. So in the meantime, while I'm getting the billing straightened out, they're sending a bill to her, and my mom pays all her bills on time, and it's saying it's behind. But the
Yeah.
but the system itself is wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And every time I call them, her bill is paid. But she is like, I just don't want it anymore. I'm taking it off. So in the meantime, there's another lady that works with me well, and I call her like my sister, and she's gonna have to. That I'm telling this long story. I'm trying to make it cut short. She's kind of taking care of my mom now. She tells me December 13th is her last day because she's got to deal with some things medically, and she's got to take care of her husband, which she's not telling me what's wrong, and she's like, I'm only telling you and I don't want you to tell your brothers, but December 13th is my last day. I'm like,
Yeah.
you are my saving grace, now you're going. So
But
Yeah.
but think about it. Think about how that impacts your peace, and so the
yeah.
work, which is why the work
Mm-hmm.
behind the peace is so important, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you have the tools. So
Mm-hmm.
although it's gonna wreak a little bit of havoc,
Mm-hmm.
you have the tools to kind of rein it back in.
Right.
Think
So
about the person that hasn't even done the work yet. So
right.
now
Yeah.
it
So
that stress increases.
Right. So now I'm sitting on the couch trying to today, even before our show, I'm trying to call these people to cancel the service because supposedly she found somebody, my mom's and found somebody that's gonna do it. So I did talk to the young lady and she told me, yeah, she's doing this, but all these hoops she got to go through. I said, yes, I get something free. I said, but she's not gonna wear it, so I'm not gonna charge. I have control
Yeah,
of her. I said, I'm just gonna take it off her account. I
yeah.
finally get through to somebody. I'm talking to them. The call disconnects.
Mm,
I said, you know what? I'm gonna deal with this tomorrow.
there
And
you
I
go.
hung up. I was at peace. I said, I'm
And
going to
that's
something
it.
else.
That is and
I'm
that
like, I'm not dealing with this.
Right, right.
but that is it. That is how you manage and
Hmm.
secure your peace. But just hearing you talk, I feel like we need to have a whole show on that's a whole nother
Yeah.
topic,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
On caretakers.
Hmm.
Because not only are you the caretaker, you're taking care of your mom who lives in another state. You help out with your grandchildren,
Hmm.
right? So whole nother conversation. But it's
And
not
I'm the oldest, and my brothers. Every time something they call me,
for you. Yeah.
and it like, well, what? I'm like, God.
Yeah, it's interesting how you're in what they call the middle, even
Mhm.
though we're older. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
now like you're responsible for taking care of very important things when it comes to your mother's well being.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you still have to take care of yours, right?
Hmm.
You still have to find balance in your life. And but you're also there for your children by taking care of your grand. So
Yeah, it's a
it's
full
it's not
circle.
like you could exclusively put a bubble around you and say, you know what, I'm just going to take care of Regina. I'm just going to do what Regina
Yeah.
want to do, because you have all those extenuated things and people that require your attention and your time.
Hmm.
So I think Theo is right. There's a bigger conversation around that because it also has to do with our ability to maintain. How do you maintain your peace
Hmm.
when you have so many competing important things going on um, that require your attention,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
And so that's why I wanted to make the thing clear when we say we've worked towards having our peace and we're working there. Is it doesn't mean that we're not experiencing real life. It doesn't mean
Right. Yeah.
things aren't happening.
Yeah.
Just in our introduction, we said we have our own businesses, we work full time,
Hmm.
and we're working on doing different projects and collaborations and other stuff like that. So in all of that, what we're saying is it still is work, but it's worth the work to find your peace, but also acknowledge that there are things in our lives that are very active,
Hmm.
require energy, and require us to engage. It's not like we could just say, okay, bye now, and just tune out the world,
Well, I
right?
think it's like everything else. I mean, I think what people don't realize um is that everything that we have done the work to get to a certain place,
Hmm.
we don't get there and it's done.
Right. It's not smooth sailing, it's over.
Every day we have to work at it. Every day we
Hmm.
have to work at maintaining our peace. Every day we have to work at maintaining our sanity. Every day we have to work at being intentional, right? Yeah, I know.
Hmm.
That word popped up in my head. I was waiting for you to say it, but
Hmm.
that popped. Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm the queen of intention.
Hmm.
yeah,
But the reality is I'm not perfect. There are days when I'm like, oh my God, I'm all over the place, and then I have to reset,
yes.
right? And so I think as we get ready to wrap up, the question I was gonna ask was gonna be, I worked for you guys to finish this sentence. I worked for this piece by, but I think a better question is what you pose, Gina, is how do you maintain
Yeah.
your peace?
Who me?
It,
Or
we all answer it.
Yeah.
That's
oh,
gonna be our closing.
Okay.
oh. Well, you know how I maintain my peace. I go on vacations.
All right. Help out the person that may not have the money to
Right,
go on
right,
vacation.
right. For us in the back,
Although,
that
although in 2026, this coming up year, I will be doing staycations. Sister girl got like build up her little account a little bit more.
I
And
I
I'll be free, real, I
I
gotta,
love that though because
but
it's
that
real.
I right, I respect it. That's
That
Mhm.
that's
definitely
that's self care.
yes.
Mhm.
That is self care. So Regina says she maintains her peace by going on vacation.
Uh,
But she also said before this, when she was telling us about her situation, that she also maintains her peace by realizing I could deal with this tomorrow.
there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
that's true.
yeah.
So, and then
Um,
can I say something? And then also
yeah,
stay grounded in your word. That really keeps
mhm,
you. Because this
yes.
past weekend, was it this past weekend? The weekend before that, because we've been off 2 weekends.
Mhm.
I went to a women's retreat and I got poured into. Sometimes when you have to reset, you don't necessarily have to go to a women's retreat, but I did do something to, and it doesn't have to cost something that you can give, you, you can pour back into yourself, or
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
whether go listen to poetry, music, whatever, take a bubble bath,
right.
something
Play
where you can
pickleball.
rejuvenate yourself.
I'm gonna
Uh,
get you to play pickleball with me.
um, and
I'll
I
go
know we
watch
did.
it. I just pickleball thing.
I think what I've learned to do to maintain my peace, um, rest.
Mm,
Yeah.
I've learned how to not feel guilty about resting.
mm,
Like just I'm not listening to social media or anything. And this is not well, Sabbath is my day from sundown Friday to sundown
mm,
Saturday is my Sabbath, and I'm just really in the Lord's presence and reading his word. And but not but and I've also realized that it's okay just to take a nice nap, and you're
Mhm.
not looking at TV, not trying to
yeah,
keep up with current events. You're just allowing yourself to rest, to
mhm,
heal, to be restored, to relax your mind, to let it stop racing with the topics
mhm,
of the day. So I think for what's helping me is my ability to say, you know what, I'm going to rest. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm
mhm.
just going to rest, and I allow the positive music to play. And just do that. That's how it helped maintain my peace.
Yeah. So I probably do a little bit of all of that. Like I rest. I'm intentional about resting, right? I make sure Sunday is the day where I am doing minimal, right? Minimal stuff. I actually also I'm intentional about spending time with people. So like me and my sister, she's just as busy, or we'll be like, hey, let's make plans to go have lunch, right? Um, I think that's important. And I think one of the main things though is what you guys already said is being in the word, like
Yeah.
just like knowing that being still and
Yes.
just sitting in the presence, right? It is so important. And I'm gonna say this: we are all believers, so
Yes.
for those who may not be, we're not saying that this is some like you use the mechanism that works for you,
Right.
right? When we sit still, we're being in the presence of the one that we believe in. You could just sit still and just be still, right? But I do think that there is something to learning how to be still,
Yeah.
right? So many of us don't know how um to be still. And I'll say this: I maintain my peace by honoring my boundaries,
I love it.
right?
Yeah.
Because the one thing I would say to anybody that's listening is it's great to set boundaries, but you don't honor your boundaries. It's not about people honoring you, because people be like, oh, they don't honor. It's not about people honoring your boundaries. You have to honor your boundaries, because when you honor your boundaries, you teach people to honor your boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
right? And so I think that has been important, because we all talked about that space of feeling guilty, right? Because you people are falling off or whatever. But I had to get to the point where me setting these boundaries doesn't mean that I'm saying these people are not going to be in my life and I don't have time for them. It just means that I'm intentional about when I'm going to spend that time. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to just be sitting on the phone having idle chit chat.
Right.
Right. So yes, every now and then, I'm catching up with friends, but it's not like when I was younger, where I could just be from this friend to that friend to this friend, and we on the phone just talking for hours about nothing, right?
Right. Right.
And so I think it's important to like just honor your boundaries.
Yeah.
So this has been the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. Tonight we were talking about the work that it took, the work that we had to do to obtain peace in our lives. And like Gina said, that doesn't mean that we have mastered it. It just means that we're much better at it. And every
Mhm.
day we're intentional about working at it. So
Yes.
next week, tune in, when who knows what the topic's going to be. I think it's going to be about being a caretaker. I think there's something to that conversation that a lot of people probably need to hear. So
Yes.
until next Monday, we wish you a wonderful week. You guys have any last words before we shut down and go off to rest?
Too bad.
Exactly. So thank you for tuning in to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. Please remember to like, subscribe, share. Please remember to come back to the network and listen to the show on replay, but also check out the other shows that are on the network. We have a lot of nice positive content on this network, and we are growing, and we are excited that you are here, and we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great
Good
night.
job.
Good night.